Jon Stewart was having some fun last night on The Daily Show at Donald Trump's expense. He's off on this trip in Scotland, but the Epstein story has followed him there. And in particular, it's this topic of why did Donald Trump cut off ties with Jeffrey Epstein after nearly 2 decades of bromance? And so Trump had said that Epstein did something that was inappropriate. And that's where Jon Stewart steps in and says, you see, Donald Trump recognized there that Epstein had finally crossed a line. Now, if it were me, obviously giving this explanation in front of reporters, I probably would have stopped there. But the issue is that Donald Trump didn't stop there. He described what it is that Epstein did that was so inappropriate. And I've actually been very curious about this, because we've been told by the spokespeople of Donald Trump that he tossed him out of the club because he was a creep, okay? And so it doesn't matter if Donald Trump partied with him for literally decades. It doesn't matter that all these crazy, creepy things that they've done and the letters and the pictures with the pubic hair and all that. It doesn't matter. He threw him out for being a creep. So now Donald Trump tells us what he cut off ties for. And it's because he poached people that were working for Trump. Wait staff or something. That's literally Donald Trump in this trip to Scotland said that. And that's not a good reason, but like, okay, so you'll give a pass to all the creepy stuff and he likes young women even more than me. That's all cool, but not like they took the barista that you really liked or something. I don't know, you had a mixologist that you really trusted and they poached that guy. That's not a good reason.
No.
And Stewart also went after Trump for another moment that went viral, and I think understandably so. Take a look.
I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island.
He didn't want to go to his island. He's still friends with him at this point, but he'll be friends with him or whatever, but he doesn't want to go to the island. Why? What was it that you knew about that island that made you not want to go to that island? Because you're pitching it as this is a good moment for you. It's not just a random occurrence that you didn't go. There's significance to it. You're telling us that. And we know now with hindsight what would be significant that you wouldn't want to go for. He's implying that he knew that creepy, potentially illegal stuff was happening there. That's not good, man. And so Stewart had some fun with him, but Tori, I want to give you a chance to jump in on that because the privilege.
Yeah.
I mean, that's. We know that right wingers generally don't like throwing around the term privilege. It makes them very uncomfortable. I think this might be even worse. What do you think?
I mean, again, if I were a lawyer and I pretend to be on TV a lot of the time, I really do believe that word privilege is circled and underlined 1,000,000%. I don't think any person with a moral conscience could think the Epstein Island would be a privilege to go to. I think that's a bizarre tell. And a lot of, if you listen to Trump's vocabulary, he tells a lot in it. He made, and for him, it was a good moment for him, meaning now I'm begging the question, were there other bad moments that you had with Epstein, right? I also really wanna know, John, and I've always asked this, and the New York Times had 9 questions about Epstein that aren't answered, where Epstein got his money. He had about $600 million, and all we know is he was a financial consultant for some Wall Street banks. Where is the money? Where's the videos? All these things are so questionable to me. And for Trump to say he didn't have the privilege of going into this disgusting scum of the earth. Again, a poker tell. If you played poker with Trump, I think you would win $1 million because he would be like, I have a bad hand. We have the biggest crowd here. Like he just tells the same story. So again, that word privilege sticks out like a sore thumb and really tells the story. But again, you're right. It does say to me, Trump knew what was going on, the implications of it, and stayed away. That tells me something nefarious was going on, and he's giving away a lot in these statements. So keep being discerning and listening because he's kind of giving himself away.
Yeah, and I'm glad that the journalists are continuing to ask questions because he's like, I remember I watched, is it A Few Good Men? Or whatever.
Yeah, favorite movie.
And it's a great movie, but I always felt, especially as a younger person, like, come on, man, you're not gonna get him to just admit it there on the stand. But like, Trump would. You just let him talk.
Totally.
He totally would.
Totally. And as a lawyer, the reason so many law firms would not take Trump is A, he wouldn't pay them, and B, he won't shut up. He just will not shut up.
He won't. And you're totally right. Questions about the money. Look, that's an area that we haven't really talked about in our extensive coverage on this. The money, as well as the stuff people are talking about the intelligence agencies and stuff. Just because, I don't know anything about. Like, there's no information. That's sort of the problem. I'm perfectly willing to talk more about it. It's just we've sort of limited it ourselves to where we have at least little bits and pieces that we can try to piece together. But it is the frustrating part about this story is that there's potentially even more. Like they say the iceberg is you only see that little bit.
Yeah.
But there's so much more. I want to know what's below the water.
It's like my
pimples.
That
weirdly with
it's
Maya.
like it's like a pimple when you just have that little thing in the thing and then it's like a big pimple. It's like a cystic acne with this.
I like my iceberg thing actually. I like that better.
much cleaner.
You go with your Dr. Pimple Popper theory of Jeffrey Epstein. Anyway, with that said, let's go back to some of the defenders of Donald Trump. There is a lot of looking backwards these days. That right there is GOP Senator Markwayne Mullin, real name. And he, like many on the right, is just desperate to point the finger on this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing at Barack Obama. And he's not gonna let a little thing like the linear flow of time mess with the argument he's trying to put together. So here he is on CNN trying to claim that Obama's responsible for Epstein's original sweetheart sort of like plea deal. Take a look.
Remember, there was a plea deal that was struck in 2009, way before I was in office, way before Trump was even considering to be in office, way before Pam Bondi was in office, way before Kash Patel was director. 2009, there was a sweetheart plea deal that was made underneath the Obama administration with Epstein.
Right. That's not
and that sweetheart has not been exposed.
No, it was 2000.
Oh, it's not? Well, when was the case heard?
It was 2008. It was the U.S. attorney at the time was a guy named Alex Acosta. He was a Bush appointee. He went on to become President Trump's Secretary of Labor. It all took place in 2008.
Who was in office at the time?
2008, George W. Bush.
Who was in office at the time?
George W. Bush.
No, 2009 is when the case came out, and it was and Obama was in office at the time.
It's not true.
Yeah, no, it's not. You can keep asking it if you want. It's always gonna be Bush in 2008, which is when it happened. It was the summer of 2008. It was Alex Acosta. And I have seen people be wrong in contexts like this. I don't know if I've ever seen someone be wrong in a way that is more damning to the fundamental point that they're trying to make in multiple ways that might not all be immediately obvious. So it wasn't Barack Obama, it was George W. Bush. I wouldn't even really care either way. I don't think that specifically even reflects poorly on George W. Bush. It does potentially reflect poorly on Alex Acosta. And when you, with your little lie, remind us that it was Alex Acosta, it lets Jake Tapper point out that Alex Acosta eventually gets given a massive promotion by Donald Trump. Again, pretty damning. Also, he loved the idea that this is before Donald Trump decided to run for office. This is before all of that. Yeah, that's true. What was he doing? Oh, he was friends with Jeffrey Epstein at that point, actually. That's worse than him being in office at that point. And so the timeline doesn't work. The argument makes no sense. Markwayne Mullin looks like a big old dumb donkey on air there. What do you think?
I also think he looks like a big dumb donkey, and I appreciate that metaphor. I think donkeys actually are much smarter than that. Again, whenever there's something that goes wrong, there's three things that the MAGA people bring up. One is usually we have the greatest country. Two is Barack Obama is horrible and you can take him down. And three is basically the crowd size or something stupid like that. But again, Obama is like, I think this guy is like holding a poker heart. I don't know why I'm so into poker, but he's holding his cards and he's like, I have an ace, and he puts it down and it's like, dude, that's the Joker card. Like, it's so embarrassing that they got that wrong. And if you watch closely when Tapper fact checks him, you see his eyes sort of go back and forth. And,
they did. I saw that.
You see that? Like, it's so easy. It's just an easy thing to rely on Obama. And it's just not working. Again, the one thing that isn't Tefloning is this Epstein thing. And I gotta be honest, I'm happy about it. I also wanna know more about the Epstein death. Again, the New York Times brings it up with the DNA on the bed sheets and all this. And it's just not going away, John. And I'm happy because those women, and can I say children, deserve answers. I really believe that. Yeah.
And Markwayne Mullin, again, he did the entire point of that interview, what he was trying and failing to accomplish was don't put pressure on Trump to get to the bottom. Like, I don't care about what happened. I don't want to know. Just something Obama or whatever.
Yeah, right.
Like, MAGA, are you happy? You could briefly be mad at Barack Obama and the
Right.
kids aren't saved. Does that balance out for you? Why would that?
Exactly.
Why would that be enough? Why, Mark Wayne Mullen? Even if you weren't one of the dumbest people in public office, why would your argument work? Like, if insulting the base to get off the story didn't work, and telling them it's boring to get off the story didn't work, why would telling them, well, Barack Obama was also bad?
Right.
It doesn't, like, that's part of why people care so much, is they feel like they have been failed for years and years and years, and you are actively a part of that continued failure.
Right. And
But
Trump
anyway.
promised to be the one to break that big buildup. He was going to break the bottleneck, and then names and lists started coming out, and it's Obama, Obama, Obama. So it's just
Exactly.
we're seeing right through you for the first time, at least. We're seeing right through you.